All right, on this episode of Crosstalk, we're going to be talking about movies that have had a profound psychological effect on us. Not movies like as in like they've driven us to drink or anything like that, but movies that have changed our perceptions and maybe made us think about things differently.
Yeah.
So, get ready to check it out. All right, we're back for another episode of Crosstalk. I'm Tim.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're talking about movies that have had a profound psychological effect on us.
And we're going to go into detail about one of them on each of our lists.
And they are separate movies, by the way. These are not like shared experience movies.
No. That'd be, it's best when you have differing lists.
Although I think we do have some examples that we've watched movies where it's like, yeah, we totally relate to certain,
exactly.
certain things.
Maybe not in the same way, but it did have an effect on us for sure.
Yeah. So, should we just start listing some movies like David Letterman style? I should get out my car and go...
Or do like a top 10 list.
Yeah.
Number 10. Yeah. No.
Okay.
We can just, I think we just kind of can go through them.
Okay. Let's do one for one.
Sure.
Okay, so I will list The Wedding Singer as one of mine.
Okay. Pulp Fiction.
Okay. I will also list... What do I want to do for number 2? The Witch.
Oh, nice. Memento.
Don Jon.
Phantom Thread.
Requiem for a Dream.
Get Out.
Okay, do you have any more?
I've got one more that I really want to dive kind of deeper into.
High Fidelity.
And my last one's Manchester by the Sea.
Nice. And is that 5 each?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Should we just start talking about one of them each?
Yeah, I think we'll just go into... Yeah. So,
Okay.
I'll very quickly say about my other 4. They have, again, what you'll find, I think, with films that have a profound psychological effect on you, they can be across genres, across years, be about completely different things.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, and Memento, they're sort of similar in that they're out of order. Memento's backwards, Pulp Fiction's just all over the place. Phantom Thread is just, it's a very interesting take on a love story. Get Out, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Yeah, just a great film. But the one that I really, really want to focus on my list is Manchester by the Sea. So Manchester by the Sea, it does an amazing job of committing to film what depression looks like. Mm-hmm. And for someone who's gone through depression, it really, really resonated with me well. They got that so very right, what that character goes through. And even Casey Affleck just does a great job of portraying that character. And it's realistic. Like, it doesn't have a happy ending. You think he might have some growth, but you're not sure. He could just stay in that depressed state forever. And you can really see why. And the other way I relate to it is, again, so like as a parent, I have 2 children. I have a girl and a boy. The girl is older than the boy, just like him in the film. And so finding out why he's depressed, it's such a gut punch. For me, I was like, yeah, he's depressed, sure. Yeah, they're doing a really great job. Yeah, gee, I wonder why they're depressed. I wonder if they're going to go into it. They get to the movie. They get to the point where he's come back from the store and his house is on fire. And they pull out those two body bags out of there. And I was crying the rest of the movie. I'm choking up about it now. Yeah. And that is how much of a... Every time I think about that scene... I get my eyes get watery. I get choked up, and that is how much of an effect that film has had on me. Like I said, did a great job about depression and everything, but I felt what he felt when he comes back, and his reaction to in the police station afterwards, how he comes out of the interview and grabs a gun and basically tries to kill himself. I'm like, I probably would have exactly the same reaction.
Yeah. Well, because it's a huge gut punch. Like, it's a world-changing experience.
Mm-hmm.
it's something that he can't ever come back from. He is changed at that point.
It forever changed, and that is exactly like, again, like, I don't want to come off as like pretentious or anything, but like as a parent, but really, like, I can really identify with that. And he has a dream later in the film too, where his daughter is asking him why it's so smoky in there because something was left on the stove and everything. And again, like, at that point I had calmed down again, and then I just started crying again. And and I mean, like I said, I would be him. I would be him. And like, there isn't any coming back from that. And he doesn't really. I mean, there's a sliver of hope at the end, but there's no. This isn't like an after-school special where like the kid who he needs to adopt, or like who doesn't have parents anymore because his father died and his mom's out of the picture.
Yeah.
He doesn't like, oh, you've made me realize like that life is worth living. Now I'm happy. Nope.
No, and he never really comes back from it. He just functions.
He barely, and I mean, he functions enough to realize that, look, you should go live with these other people. I can't be there for you the way that I need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if, like, and Michelle Williams, she's barely in it, but the scenes that she is in there for, like, it carries so much weight, and she gives a great performance, and she even, like, her character forgives him, which that would be incredibly hard for a person to do, and even that, he's just like, no, he doesn't want to be forgiven.
He feels completely at fault, and he, like, how do you come back from that?
Exactly. I've only ever seen it once. And
I've only ever seen it once too.
Yeah, and like, it would be hard to watch it again. It really would. But again, like, it had such a huge effect on me that, like I said, every time I think about that scene, I get choked up. So, I mean, I don't know how much more of a psychological effect a movie can have on you.
Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to top it necessarily, but I might be able to give some perspective. I'm not going to try and do you one better, but I'm going to try and be personal here.
Cool.
Okay, so I listed The Wedding Singer,
Yep.
Requiem for a Dream,
Yep.
The Witch,
Yep.
High Fidelity,
Yep.
and what was it? Don Jon.
Don Jon, right.
Okay, so I'm not going to explain why all those, well, I'll try. I think I will have to explain why they all are important, but I'm not going to go into detail.
Yeah.
So The Wedding Singer, I see that movie as me romanticizing relationships and marriage and weddings and love and all that. And like, for Adam Sandler, I realize that's like, how could something Adam Sandler made have that level of effect? But I watched it at a...
I don't know, man. Punch Drunk Love is pretty good.
Punch Drunk Love is a very good movie. But Wedding Singer had a stronger impact on me because I've always had a high love for pop and the 1980s and
fair enough.
that stylistic kind of stuff. And it's I think it has a high production, and the soundtrack's amazing. And
Yeah, it is.
so it had an effect on me in that way because it created these ideas about like true love and finding the right person and romance. And incidentally, the person I'm marrying, that's kind of what it's like.
Yeah.
But I recognize that is uncommon. That is not how a lot of people propose to their fiance or fall in love, or like how things like unfold. I've just been...
Yeah, I mean, it's a cinematic version of it, but sure, I can see why it would be.
So that's how that one... Now, on the opposite side, High Fidelity is those high emotions about love and like, fuck love, and how can you have all these different relationships and not like be changed by it?
Yeah.
Because, and what's interesting about that movie too is there's a soundtrack to it. So Wedding Singer has the soundtrack, and High Fidelity has a soundtrack to it. And
High Fidelity is also great.
And there's lots of emotions in there, and John Cusack talks about like, was I depressed because of pop music, or was pop music depressed me, right?
That movie is about like love as a social construct, right?
Right.
It's very, very fascinating. It's a great film.
Yeah, so to me it's interesting in my mind, and I don't know exactly how to resolve it, but it's interesting to me that I have those two takes on it and how they intersect in different ways.
Yeah.
Requiem for a Dream,
for obvious reasons.
Well, I think obvious reasons is that it's a fucking hard movie to watch for pretty much anyone, because it's about addiction and how it affects you,
and like the addiction dialed up to 11. Yeah.
Consequences, right?
Yeah.
Like literally every character in that movie has negative consequences from the drugs they take, or whatever drug of choice they end up with, right? They lose something. But for me, it was like the first really gritty, dark movie I watched, and it was in my formative years. So
Okay.
I've seen horror movies, I've seen violence, I've seen love, and all those things are like a lot to swallow. But a movie about like the rawness of
Addiction
is like tough. So then Don Jon relates that because sex addiction is a very real thing, and it's something that I've personally struggled with, and I don't like to talk about a lot, but it's something that bothers me because it's like human sexuality is very intimate, and we all have different concepts of like what it means to us and how we like deal with things. And for me, I've always like wanted to have like a very specific worldview about how to like live my life, but unfortunately things aren't black and white.
No.
It's like that whole concept of like men and women should be together versus like any other spectrum they're in, right?
Yeah.
So as I've gotten older, I've realized that sexuality is a lot more fluid than films and music and all these things want to present to us, because so that's why I chose those two movies, because of their relation. Now the last movie, The Witch, is a movie about religion and spirituality, and that's the movie I want to talk about.
Okay.
So as you know, I have gone through how should I put this? I've been through religion and come out the other side.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, The Witch represents my fears about spirituality and the fear of death and the fear of tradition and the fear of all those things. And that movie, now the average viewer who may not have those things on their mind might not take that from that movie.
Sure.
But someone who has an Orthodox upbringing or a Catholic upbringing or a Protestant or whatever it doesn't have to be Christianity necessarily too, but because it's coming from a Protestant Christian Puritan, right? Coming overseas from Europe to Americas.
Right.
It's about that.
Mm-hmm.
It starts out very much as a film about the struggles of survival on top of religious, restrictions.
Right.
But it quickly evolves into a horror film because you see these psychological warfares happening between mother and daughter and sister and brother and father and daughter and husband and wife and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the film, like it actually like evolves entirely into a horror movie in terms of like there's actually something evil in the forest and there are witches. And I don't want to I don't mean to spoil the movie, but in the sense that like I'm not going to ruin it, but I will say this. It is very cringeworthy for me because being raised with these ideas about good and evil and then living your life not knowing what is really out there. Like, we take things on faith. Whether we believe in science or we believe in religion or we believe in art, everyone has to take a certain amount of these things on faith in terms of is it true for them or not, right?
Right.
You have to have personal conviction.
Right.
So watching that film and being an intelligent person and having gone through academic stuff, and then also having been in a relationship with someone who ended up having psychological issues, but there was like a strong relationship between religion, purity, or Puritan ideals, and that it affected me personally, right? So to then watch a movie about that after having gone through that is very difficult, and it affected me in the sense that it brought up a lot of old feelings, a lot of old traumas.
Fair enough.
But what I appreciate about it is that, and we'll get to this in a later episode of Crosstalk about the horror movies, is I think that horror movies can be a great vehicle to address stuff that people don't want to
talk about. Yep. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And
the movie The Witch talks about a lot of issues that are things that people think about but don't necessarily feel.
Okay.
So it forced me to feel those feelings about uncertainty of my ideas and then be presented with a very real horror.
Interesting.
So that is why I wanted to talk about The Witch.
Nice.
And I realized that like not having seen the movie, it's hard for you to be like, oh, okay, I can see like the relationships there, but
I want to see it.
I'd be curious to hear what you have to say about it, because then
Yeah.
afterwards I can like delve into like why certain things mean things to me or why it affected me
Interesting.
certain ways.
Yeah, it's on my list.
So that said, I think, I don't know, this is a pretty intense topic because it's like everyone has different things that affect them. But as we've said multiple times,
Yeah, this one in particular is a very personal feeling about a film. So
yeah,
different people are gonna have lots of different lists and lots of different movies that they really resonate with. That this kind of stuff resonates with.
It means something to them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Based on your own personal experience.
but it doesn't mean that you can't. There's no right or wrong answer, I guess.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I think we covered it. I think that was good.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the discussion here? What do you think about our choices for movies that affected us in a psychological way? Feel free to share those movies that you would think about below in the comments. Like and share the video, or even better, subscribe to the channel.
Until next time, I'm Tim,
And I'm Chris.
and this is Crosstalk.
It's plugged in and it is on. I have power. Okay, sweet. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Everything's recording? Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
On.
On. I'm always on, baby.
And that says we've been talking for 4 minutes. Okay.